the 4 types of homelessness in this country right now that everybody has in some way, shape, or form experienced, dealt with, or witnessed is transitional homelessness, episodic homelessness, chronic homelessness, and hidden homelessness. And the transitional homelessness is one of the wildest ones because you got 550,000 people under the age of 24 experiencing that shit yearly, and 380,000 under the age of 18 experiencing this shit yearly. It's time, man. 2024 is the rise of the lost. It truly is time to shed light on these fucked up situations, to shed light in areas that were once covered in darkness, because that's what's going to free us from these prisons of our own making. We helped to build the same prisons that hold us. The mental cages, the physical ones. M. Hadi, 192010. What up?
Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. In this loud ass little cafeteria at the airport.
Copy.
I have them cheap ass Bluetooth headphones on. Them shits.
They not
working. What's good
rocking
with
the
you,
way
though?
you want them to rock.
Nah. What's good with you though? How you doing?
Shumba, well, man, count the blessings. Spent the last of my bread to get up in this hotel for the next 2 days so I could get my paperwork together and get my affairs in order as I get ready to go at this fucking caseworker for abusing his power and abusing his quote-unquote authority over my current situation.
Are you just want to do you was dealing with before?
The same caseworker, yeah.
Well, what do you do?
Well, I got a 40-minute long video and a 4-part series that I'm about to drop on TikTok as I started already exposing the information. So long story short, last week I emailed him to tell him I have done the research and I have found locations in the area you told me you were going to move me to and told me to get a job in. I followed all your directives and directions. I got hired at 3 different places within a week. I got hired by the school district for food prep. I'm about to go do a final interview at a rich-ass gym tomorrow at 10 a.m. that pre-hired me. And I'm currently shadowing a process server, so I'm working part-time. So I have 3 jobs. 3. Not 1, not 2, but 3. Man said, find a job. That's your task. Mission fucking complete, sir. So then I do the work because he says, well, I don't deal with corporate. I didn't understand what the fuck that meant. It sounded pretty off to me. So I found the corporate office's number, called them to deal with corporate myself. Spoke to Patty, spoke to Emily, spoke to Venus. Found out I am a candidate to move into the place that I want to go. Found out they do work with the program that I'm in. They do accept money from the program that I'm in. They will accept money from them, and they will accept me contingent upon a letter of employment and my caseworker obviously saying, yes, we're going to pay first month's rent security, because that's what the program's designed to do. It's called rapid rehousing. Rapid rehousing. So our job is to take you from homeless to, as quickly as possible, get you housed. So when I tell via email so that I have a paper trail, when I tell my caseworker all of this, in my mind, fantastic fucking news via email, he says, sounds great! Exclamation points. Like, you know, obviously you're co-signing it because this is great by all intents and purposes of the fucking word. I said, when can I come meet with you? Because, you know, as a homeless person, I obviously don't have money like that. I do need clothes for work. Is there any way that there's a program that's going to assist me with that? Or will this program assist me with that? Doesn't answer that. He says, I'm free, come in tomorrow, 10 a.m. This is last week on a Thursday. I go in Friday to meet with him. I already know the setup because the last time I brought this place up to him, he spazzed out on me in the office, but I wasn't recording it then. Well, this is a single party consent state, so I was recording it Friday. So then he tries to give me the pats on the back about the job and the fact that I have a certificate of relief of disabilities from parole. So my criminal record is now cleaned. It's been over 12 years since my last state crime and or conviction. So boop, I'm in the fucking clear. I'm a new man, new life.
That's what's up.
Thank you. Thank you. New opportunity. You know what I mean? Like, that's all this is. New life, new opportunity, greatness on the horizon. So again, I'm thinking we're here to celebrate and do the right thing. So then he gets to the part about, I see you said you spoke to corporate because I said I don't. Let me clarify. And I have this all on video, so guys, don't worry. The full series will be available on YouTube and on other platforms, so you can actually hear out of the horse's mouth how he spoke to me, what he said to me, and how he abused his power in real fucking time. So he then goes on to say, well, let me clarify. I don't deal with them. I say, well, sir, why wouldn't you deal with them if they, as a place that houses us, the people in need, say that they deal with your program and it's not your program, deal with the program I'm in, the organization that you work for, and they accept the money. He said, I don't deal with them because, and I'll give you some background. Now, all of a sudden, it's a whole different story than what he said previously. Before it was, they wouldn't accept me. That's what he told me. I said, what if they do? His response was, I don't deal with ifs. I say to him, well, we are dealing with an if, because you said you're not going to give me more information on my program unless the guy you're sending me to accepts me. That's an if. That's a major if. So now we bring it back to Friday. He says, I don't deal with them because they're late on paperwork, they're unprofessional, they don't answer in a timely fashion when we reach out to them. And then he ends it with, and they treat their tenants poorly. Mind you, I did research on this place. They've literally housed over 5,500 people. They literally have multiple locations from downtown Minneapolis to the outskirts into the fucking suburbs. Let's be clear. I did all the research necessary as the person looking for fucking housing. Huh?
5,000 people?
Over 5,500, sir. And I got, oh, wait till this video drops, because I got links and all to everything. So then he goes on to basically badmouth that other organization, which is named AEON, A-E-O-N, in Minnesota. That's the name of the organization and company. They're corporate. They own multiple properties. Some of them are fucking gorgeous. Let's be very clear. So then I say to him, wait a minute, sir. What you're saying is subjective, because why would you believe that I'm going to be treated poorly when I've already spoken to corporate and I gave him the names of who I spoke to at corporate? I told him that they have already said that I'm an excellent candidate to move in, and all they would need is a $500 deposit and we could get the ball rolling. I could be in a place this week. So then he's angry. Now he's angry. You can hear the anger in his voice as he's correcting me and letting me know this is not subjective. This is objective, and you need to trust me. You need to get to the point of trusting me, because my job is to get you housed. Your job was to get a job. I said, well, mission complete. I have 3. And he told me I had all these barriers and how nobody was going to accept me, except for the one place he wants to put me. That seemed kind of fucking odd, because the more research I did, there's multiple organizations that own multiple properties that accept the program that I'm in. So how is it that there's only one person that you're saying would ever accept me? What the fuck are you talking about? Now it gets deeper as he tells me, if you don't want to listen to me, if you don't want to do what I'm telling you to do, then you can leave the program. So now he's threatening me to remain homeless and not be able to move in somewhere because I'm attempting to exercise my rights, my civil rights, to find a more equitable situation for me. The person looking for housing, the person that found a job, the person that's attempting to get their life in track and in order as fast as possible. Mind you, that's after this man told me that I abandoned my daughter. So he goes on to tell me about how they actually do have a relationship with the place that I was trying to get into, Aeon. They've had a relationship for years. So then why'd you make it seem like you didn't deal with them at all? Then he even verbalizes, and I quote, if push came to shove, I would deal with Aeon. Nigga, what?
Push came to shove. What the fuck? Like, what you need me? Like, we want to stand up? Like, I can push your ass over. So, like, what are you talking about?
And I really was, I was shaking. I had to really keep myself calm because I'm a man and you playing with me like I'm not a man, but okay, I know I need this evidence. I know I need this video. So I'm asking more questions and he's just talking and talking and talking and talking and burying himself without knowing it. God knows that I was watching that grave get dug. So then he goes on to threaten even more because he obviously told me that I do have options. Then double back to another option. I can speak to the supervisor. But before he gives me information, he lets me know the supervisor is going to agree with me. And the supervisor is going to tell you that you need to listen to me and respect what it is that I'm telling you.
This dude, bruh. Yeah, this dude need to be made an example of. Man.
Oh, black baby, Jesus knows I'm here for the mission. So then, oh boy, man, look, modus operandi. If anybody not here to take on the charge, it's me. So then he goes on to, yeah, this shit is sick. Bro, this shit is sick. I promise you this shit is sick. So then I go on to say to him, why would you not want me to go here if it's half the money necessary to get me into this location than it is in the one you're trying to send me? I even say, and I quote, there's other people that might need that money more than me. So why would you spend that money here if I'm telling you I found a place where it's half the money to get me in? And it's a better location. And I'm comfortable being there. And it's in the area you told me to go because you told me to get a job in the area. And I met all of your little weird ass requests. I jumped through all the little hoops you wanted me to. And now you're still telling me what I can't do and that I basically don't have the right to do. It's a very odd situation.
Nah, that's not odd at all. He used to dealing with people, one, with a record, so he got leverage on them because he can put them back in the box. Two, he by giving you one option, that lets you know that he probably got some type of nefarious underdealings, you know, and you know, three, he's in a position of power to help people, and he is being the opposite. So he absolutely needs to be made an example of because he are the reason that systems fail.
Yes.
Like I just got dealing with the same type of shit, bro. You know, I'm a disabled veteran, and you know, I was dealing with this agency that was supposed to be helping me for some veteran shit, and these motherfuckers is making all the decisions, and I'm like, well, you know, if you're supposed to be helping me, wouldn't it help if you had my input?
You would have thought.
You would think, you know, nah, like you just, it's kind of like you just lucky that there's a program to be helping you. And the way I look at it is no, you lucky to have a job to be in a position to help somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah, people just could be bad at their jobs, though.
Oh, shit.
Know.
Brother, I didn't even know you was in here. I can't see your video.
Oh, yeah.
What up, homie?
Nah, I think what's going on here. So I just think some people could be bad at their jobs, and it's not indicative of some other thing. They just bad at their job. Some people just bad at their job, you know. And when you in certain environments, like, you know, you go through those kind of places where, if you look at it, you are the exception, right? You're the person who got up and got the jobs and did the things. But these guys, there's a lot of guys who live in that kind of environment, and that's the life that they're going to live. So it's a bunch of excuses. It's a bunch of reasons why they're not going to get themselves out of there. It could be the leverage thing too with the records, like the guy said. I ain't trying to say that that's not possible, but I think it's way more likely that people just bad at their jobs and the environment around them don't demand that they be better. And I understand that you want them to be better, but
I will contest that with a fact that in February 6, 2024, New York State just got a hit from the New York City Housing Authority, where 70 members of the New York City Housing Authority, current workers and ex-workers, are now being convicted for extortion and bribery. There is millions upon millions of dollars in this system, and money corrupts people, just as absolute power corrupts absolutely. These people have been put in charge of some of the most vulnerable people in our society, and they are abusing their power. In California, there was just another caseworker that got found just last week to have been telling the people you can't get your monthly money until you suck me off and shake ass. So I love to be the bearer of bad news because people need reality checks. All of us, myself included. As of recently, homeless person who got to be in these shelters, who got to see that certain shelters are being run like New Jack City, and the workers know what's going on, meaning they're getting a cut of the money as well. There are almost 1 million people under the age of 24 that are homeless yearly doing transitional homelessness, and 380,000 of those are under the age of 18. These are our children. These are our sisters, our brothers, our aunts, uncles, and mothers. And then for the 17% population that's chronically homeless, the ones you said that kind of almost choose their situation, well, they're dealing with mental illness, addiction, and again, they're vulnerable, they're disabled. So they need more help than the average person. And the people that are being given authority over them and their situation are consciously abusing their power. So I would never pretend that they're just doing a bad job. You could be at Wendy's and do a bad job. You can't be in charge of someone's life and do a bad job. Then you should fucking be fired that day. Find a new career, because that's not the one for you.
Only place that people, their jobs, like people really invested is like librarians or dealing with children or something like that. You may find 1 or 2 people who really, most of the time people take jobs because it's available. Most people take jobs because I do qualify for it. It pays that a dollar amount. It's not because they're invested in solving the homelessness crisis or talking to people and looking at people in the face in a certain way that makes them feel greater than. So I think that it's not that the system is very, very, you could point out tons of examples, and I'm sure that there's tons of bad cases. But what I'm saying is, even in Wendy's, there's going to be employees in the back on their phone and keeping you in the drive-through for an extra 15 minutes.
Fire them.
But you kind of find out, you know what I mean? I'm just saying, it's bad guys. Oh, I'm not, listen, but that doesn't, what you're going to do is replace that person with another person who also is just taking a job for the dollar amount.
How do you think? How do you weed people out? By weeding them out.
So
and how do you change a system? How do you change a system from the top down? Which is why the fact that New York City taking that hit is called a domino effect. You think I'm not going to use every piece of that evidence right now as I go to file this civil suit and bring attention and bad press as someone that has a 90,000 following on TikTok, almost 40,000 following here, viral videos? You think I'm not going to use my voice to bring all the attention and bad press to these people that they don't want so that we can change the actors, because they're called bad actors? I'm not disagreeing with you. What I'm saying to you is, fuck talking about the problems. I have a solution. And that solution is going to bring terror to many people's lives, because they're going to lose their livelihoods, as they fucking should, because they are playing with the lives of humans, children, like I said, children.
Or you could be that person that gets in his position and take his position and actually care about those that's coming behind you.
Bro, this 50
but as long as
it's not possible. The only way this works is the domino effects happen, which means New York State's first, now Minnesota.
I had a real hope that at the beginning of the pandemic, like when we all was sitting down and we all was doing, like just making it through it, I really thought that when jobs opened back up, that we would switch. Like if you was a hotel worker and you was tired of making beds all day and you had an opportunity to go apply for that fashion job because they were hiring. Everybody was hiring when we started coming back. So I thought that we would move on, because especially during the pandemic was a bunch of people picking up violin, learning how to cook, doing all these things and living their life in such a way. It was like, yo, so when y'all go back to apply for jobs, go apply to where you want to be. Because if you're where you want to be, then those interactions that you have with those people will be better than the ones that you do for the dollar amount. But when people went back to work, it was interesting to find that they ran right back to those same jobs that they always hated. And they did the same things that they've always done. So there wasn't a real change. And I think that
there was a real change. You're not addressing the change that happened. The change that happened was a denigration of the mental state of an entire fucking planet, that we all went through mass psychosis in real time. Statistically, the suicide rate damn near quadrupled. The fact that mental health issues shot through the fucking roof, and that you have a whole generation of children that don't have the proper social skills because they spent 2 years being indoors. I hear everything you said, but nothing that you said addressed any of the causing factors of people going right back to what they knew. That was them returning to a sense of normalcy, because that was the only normal thing left. And as far as the people that picked up skills and did all this other shit, the government was giving us free monies. Once they stopped giving them money, of course most people went back to what they know. It's cause and causality. I'm just saying, as someone that studies psychology and studies the social structure of our planet world and society as a whole, there are determining factors that create situations. There always will be, there always have been. So to ignore those determining factors, we're just speaking from a place of hopefulness, which is not a bad thing, but hopefulness is based on purely subjective observation without being objective to the facts of what was actually occurring in real time to a nation of people.
Well, this is what I was gonna say. This is what I'm gonna say. A lot of people get jobs that give them positions of power and authority because that's what they crave. The majority of people, the majority of people.
When you stream, I ain't trying to be disrespectful.
Oh yeah. I smoke. I'm on smoke break. I smoke heavy.
The majority of people, who have a job they have a job that is tethered to their ego, and if it's not tethered to their ego, that means that they're miserable. They don't want to be there at all. And not to say that if it is tethered to their ego in a positive way, doesn't mean that they're still not miserable. But there's a very specific type of person who seeks jobs that give them positions of authority so that they can have leverage over people's lives and livelihood. And this is one of those instances where, this person is an active gatekeeper and really a nuisance. Like he's a public nuisance, bro.
I'm not denying that. No way am I denying that. I'm not denying that. I can't argue against that. I'm just saying that if you was at your job and then, like, let's say you found some groove, right? Because if we're talking about homelessness, right? We're talking about the wave of homelessness, right? And like there was a time when everybody was solid and your job was easy. You came on 9 years ago and it was fine, and you managed to push through whatever you learned, and then you get stuck in a rigmarole, and then you ain't aspiring to be nothing different, and you've been here 9 years, and it's a bunch of people who you've seen them cause more issues than they do benefit to that program. So they got to deal with them on a day-to-day basis, and they kids is acting up, and they don't know why and they got all this on their mind, and here you come with your knowledgeable, exceptional self, and you try to be knowledgeable and exceptional, and niggas like, yo, shut up. And I understand that to a degree, like I do, because I've been there. I've been the exceptional one, and I was fortunate enough to get through it without having to have this guy that you're talking about. But then again, you would say that he may not, the guy who got me through it probably would say that, people would say that he probably didn't do his job to the best of his ability either, because I just started telling niggas I was going to work, and nigga always signed my papers because I was exceptional and I was smart. And nigga do like, all right, cool, you gonna be good. I'll just sign your paperwork, no worries. And that kind of no worries attitude could get him in trouble because he's not following the rigmarole that they asked of him to do every day. So I get it. I do. There was when we was in the hospital for my child's mother, I had a hard pregnancy the entire time, right? And we encountered a bunch of people. Like, I didn't know until then that you could Yelp review and, Google review like your nurses, and shit like that, right? And it was like 3-4 names that I sure enough wanted to tell them about themselves online and get them reamed for what they did. One person sat on the edge of the bed after 2 weeks, 4 failed induction methods, trying to have his baby. And the lady sat on the edge of the bed, held my child's mother's hand, and said to her, "Look, we tried everything. I think it's time that we end this pregnancy." Oh, what she meant was, I think we're going to have to do a C-section. But that's not what she said. And that kind of wording in that kind of scenario in that moment was absolutely devastating. I definitely wanted to give her all the business. Somebody else ended up doing it. But I don't know if that person, like, fire him, get rid of him. I don't know if that's the answer. I just don't know if that's the answer because ultimately, whatever it is that she did outside of that one moment, in order to be there for her in that one moment, she may have failed at that point, but who knows? She could have 7, 9 years of doing the right thing. You know, I don't know. I'm just
Right,
saying
but just to
people.
talk about that specific situation, I want you to finish. I'm not trying to cut you off. That specific
Mhm.
situation, you're acknowledging that there's a potential of miswording and or miscommunication from your lens. From your lens, not that even she said I miscommunicated, I apologize, but just saying I observed this as a potential miscommunication. That's way
Yeah.
different. That's way different than someone addressing the miscommunication and then someone doubling down and saying, nah, this ain't a miscommunication. I said
Either
what the fuck I said.
either way, it don't matter because people need to be held accountable for the processes that they're involved in. It's not about the one person that is involved in the process. It's about the process itself. So corrective action is to improve the process, not to admonish any one particular person's behavior or shortcomings. Is to make sure that the shit don't happen again and make sure that the process gets better. At least that's how it should be.
Respectfully.
Yeah, I saw that's my people's right there. Hey Val, I saw her comment say, but I'm sure it didn't happen once. That's no bedside manner, but I'm sure it didn't happen once. Yeah, you're right.
Hmm.
I'm certain it's probably that I should have wrote her up. Maybe I should have put it on her review. Like that though, that phrase is an actual quote in the truth that those words came out of her mouth. Putting that online though, I know that putting that online would ruin her. Let's be honest. Do you want to ruin somebody because they said something bad one time? It
Are
was
you
not good.
asking me?
I'm not.
Hold on. Are you asking me? Because if you're
I know
asking me,
you
I'll
said
answer it.
fire him. I know you said fire him. You said fire him twice.
Listen, listen. I need a scorched earth, bro. Yo, my sister is the forgiving one. She's like, everybody just needs to be loved, hugged. You don't know their trauma. You don't know their past. Okay, cool. I respect all of that. In the same breath, somebody got to be the balancing factor to scorch the fucking earth for those that don't have the will and or ability to do so.
But here's the human thing. She said fire him too. She said fire him too. But here's the thing though. You are going to run into the same exact problem with somebody because at some point you're going to have to lower the qualifications to open up the market because how many people
What?
listen, if you get rid of everybody
Wait,
who's bad at their job, you're
no,
going
you
to have to lower the
don't. No,
qualifications.
you don't. Bro,
Yes, you do.
I will contest that
Hold
to
on.
my last breath. You do not
Do you
have
think
to
that there's a
lower
bunch of qualified
qualifications.
nurses?
We
You
need
think
to
there's a
raise the qualifications.
people going to do what they want?
Now,
I'm not
you're
Yeah,
right.
listening.
And
there's a
this is
such
how
thing.
reality works. People are going to quote unquote do what they want until they are forced to do something else. Hence the scorching of the earth, so that now when everybody's corralled in the same corner, each individual for answer for their specific choices and sins. Do you understand that the LGBTQ community, which a lot of them are youth right now coming into, the reality of who they want to be, who they are, their own sexuality, their parents put them out. 15, 16,
All right, too, bro.
17 years old. There's 380,000 people every year under the age of 18 homeless. And for those in that community, do you know that they experience the most violence, exploitation? And this is coming from caseworkers, people that control their situation because they know you don't got nothing. You don't got no one. And I'm dangling everything. Nah, bruh. I'm going to tell you again, if I have breath in my lungs, I'm going to set fire everywhere I fucking go until they say, damn it, son, we got to change it up because he won't stop. Because if I get 100 million fucking view video on TikTok with this shit, you don't think it's going to fire a bunch of niggas? You don't think supervisors and everybody that's doing dirt going to get called the fuck out? 70 people just got locked up in New York last month, February 6th. Exploitation, extortion, and bribery. It's the domino effect. We will raise the standard because it will be forced. I'm not saying I'm gonna be nice and wait for someone to do the right thing. I'm saying I'm gonna scorch the fucking earth so I'm not here. Either I'm gone and I pass off the mantle to somebody else that's here to scorch earth, or I'm going to scorch earth until I make the change I need to make, because my kids is in this planet. I got fucking children in this planet. So what happens if my child turns 16, 17, and God forbid I'm not here to end up in a situation? I could have scorched earth 10 years before, but I thought it wasn't my duty to do so. Nah, God put me in this position for a reason.
There's a such thing as quality assurance and quality control.
And it needs to be implemented by any means necessary.
That part. The only way that it can be implemented when you're talking about service providers and specific public service providers is if the clients report how they're actually being treated, good, bad, or indifferent. Like, that's the only way the quality of the situation and services not only is held to a standard, but is,
you know what you're pushing for?
No,
You pushing for that Black Mirror episode where everybody rates everybody about everything. That social currency.
Nah,
shit.
that's the social credit score, and we're already getting that because
No,
the
but
government's
not
implementing
just,
that.
I know the Black Mirror shit was about friendships and relationships and people you see on the street.
No,
But if you
no,
provide
you're right.
every
That's
service,
real right now. I'm telling you that
every
you're
service
right.
that
That's
you
real
provide,
right now in our real world in China. It's called the social credit
I
system,
know,
and they're
I know.
bringing it here.
What I'm saying is, but that's what you're pushing for because
No, it's
everybody
not.
needs to be held accountable.
No, no,
If
no,
you
no, 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 no,
you
no.
talking
No, no,
bad,
no,
you need to
we
immediately be
specifically said
no,
investigated.
service
no.
providers. No,
So
that's you. That's you not
service
Exactly.
providers.
acknowledging the
Okay,
actual words that were
hold on.
used. There were actual words that were very
Exactly.
specific. Service providers. No one said rate your friends. No one said rate the
no.
motherfucker.
I know.
It's a service provider.
But I know.
Bro, hold on, because you interrupted me while you were saying it.
Yeah, I
So,
did. Pardon me.
so there's no need to interrupt me with a generalization when I'm talking about something specific. I'm talking about very, very specific people. So to say that I'm saying that it's everybody, no, that's what you're saying. I'm saying what I'm saying. Very clear.
But what I'm saying is this. Okay, so minus the relationships part, everybody who provides a service needs to be getting a rating immediately after finish that service because
No.
they need to be held accountable. If they didn't do a good job this one time, then they need to be held accountable for this bad job. Be it a contractor, be it Wendy's guy, person who drives a car, whatever it may be. If you are doing wrong, then you need to be held accountable, which means that we all need to be on the star rating system for every service that we provide right after finish the service. That's what I meant. I know I said minus the relationship stuff, the walking down the street stuff. Okay, maybe that's ridiculous, but if you're providing a service, then it should be. Like I said, I battle with that.
Public service.
Like the nurse, I battled. I think I think I was justified in reaming her, getting her lose her profession because that's the way she made me feel. But someone being bad one time, and even if you have a star rating system, which is what I believed you was advocating for, which was that.
No, that's not what I said at all. That's not what I said, not even remotely. Only thing I'm saying is if you are in a public service position, the only way that there's going to be quality control is if the people that you're providing the service to voices where there could be corrections made in the process. But most times out of 10, it's downtrodden people who figure out who are left to believe that, oh, it is what it is. Nothing's gonna change. This is just how it's gonna be. I'm not gonna make no trouble. Or they're getting these passive aggressive threats to where somebody's suggesting to them if they are the squeaky wheel, they're gonna get kicked out the program. And that's the type of shit they can't stand. Like that's what's keeping people in bad situations, because at the end of the day, the situation that my bro is in is not anything that should be controlled by nuance or personal fucking preference. That's crazy.
Yeah. I live in that world. I do Uber, and every trip the rider has an option to give me a rating, and I do value the fact that I only have 4 people who disagree with me being a 5-star rider at the moment. I'm happy that that's true, but I don't know if I would advocate for that level of scrutiny to go out to each and every person providing services. I don't like it. I don't like it personally, and I chose the job, so it's a part of my job, and I do really good at my job. So I'm not complaining because I'm being screwed in the method. I'm just saying I don't know if I would advocate for everybody to be held like
My
this
question
one
to you is
instance.
this: as an Uber driver, because I've had this conversation with other Uber drivers, we were talking about the actual social credit system in China. So as an Uber driver, a Lyft driver, they all have the same system of starring, rating, and ranking, which will depend on how often you can work, if you're going to get to work, blah, blah, blah. Do you believe that that system is helping you to put your best foot forward even on days you might not feel like it because you know that you're going to get rated at the end? Have there been situations, because I've been told from other people there has been, so for you personally, have you had situations where maybe you were going to say something to somebody, but then you second guessed it because you didn't want to
Yeah,
create the negative interaction to get a bad rating?
yeah, absolutely.
Then
Here's
hold on,
about
time out. Then this is the point. Then that shit is needed. Then it is, you just
okay,
confirmed that it's needed.
okay,
It's a need. That
okay.
confirms it. Because that means that you would have had more situations where you let your feelings take the lead versus the logic. Because feelings override, emotions override, intelligence 9 times out of 10.
Yeah, but you're right, absolutely. And that does keep us in line. I'm just saying, I don't know if I would advocate for everybody to be on that same
But
type
we're
of
not
time.
advocating for
I think
everyone. What I'm saying to you is this: if a person's
service
controlling the
providers is what I'm saying.
livelihood of children who are homeless, adults who are disenfranchised and homeless, let's say a nurse that's controlling the mindset and health of a newborn soul coming into this world, you don't think that the people that got the most power over the most sensitive and vulnerable should be held accountable and in check? Fuck, let's take food service out of it. Let's take every other service out and focus on what the conversation was really about. These social workers, the housing authority, and these sick fucking pedos in position of power abusing our children. Because that's what's occurring every day across the 50 states.
No, I don't advocate for that.
So that's what I'm saying. I would never agree that I don't want a social credit
No, I'm
system,
saying
bro. Fuck China.
I don't advocate for keeping those people as tightly accountable as you would wish them to be.
Well, if they're not held accountable, then they're being left to their own devices, and we're promoting and being implicit in their abuse of the vulnerable. It's that simple. We can try to create the gray area because it makes us sleep better at night. But if let's say he does what I want him to do, right? Gets me in the place I want to go this week. And then I pretend that I didn't just go through what I went through, knowing that people that don't have the same intelligence as me, who might not be able to articulate like me, are going to be abused even more. Because if he got the balls to abuse me like this, why would I ever convince myself it's a one-off?
So the reason why I wouldn't
That
advocate
part.
for it, because we okay, I don't know. We in that environment, I, I've I've had my tires slashed by people who lived there in the same exact predicament to me. When I found a way out, these people decided that they would take a literal shot at me and try to take me out of the game as if I was that crab in the
Hmm.
barrel mentality. Now you're talking about somebody who's watching over this thing. I had a time when I had left my headphone case to charge while I had my headphones in the bathroom while I was on the stall. Somebody stole not the charger, just the case. I went around. Nobody would provide any help or any answers or whatever. It's just a case. Just give it back to me. I'll pay you for it, whatever. I went around because I wouldn't get no help from the supervisors. I went around and printed out a picture of the thing, of the case, my phone number, and nothing disrespectful, rewarded, found. Here's my phone number. I put myself out there and put myself on every last bed in that house. right? Not just in my side, every last place there was a bed, I put that on every bed. You know what they did? They walked right behind me and took all them shits up. So that seems counterintuitive to the whole plan if you're trying to build something here for everybody. But at the same time, whatever their reasoning is, I'm not going to sit here and say, today, your actions on this headphone case thievery, I'll give you a 1 star. It just seems, I don't know why she they walked behind me and did that to me, but I don't know. But someone else stole it, and had someone else not stole it, I wouldn't be looking to rate this person and their response to it in such a negative way. If when you put the service provider of someone who's supposed to be responsible for this entire building, right? So I'm people that are responsible for the building are making the decision to take my number away for whatever reason. I don't know what that reasoning is, but I feel like that was a bad job. So here's your 1 star rating. This person may actually care about it, but their reasoning don't match up with the rating system. You understand what I'm saying? So I could see how that in that moment by being like, yo, y'all disrespectful. How y'all? I know that they stole from me, but y'all allowing it because y'all not assisting and helping retrieve it. And now that person is less than. I'm looking at that person like that person is doing something wrong to me. It doesn't seem
I,
fair. It doesn't seem fair if I was on the
well,
other end of that.
I think it's important to to, to clarify that like you're the only one talking about a rating system. Like no one said anything about a rating system. Like we're talking about uh,
People
formalized,
abusing power.
yeah, formal complaints. Like written documentation. Like
But
you
you want
you
that
brought in the analogy. You brought in the analogy of the rating system based on your experience, but like that's not what we're talking about at all. We're talking about specific types of people who are in specific types of position in public service that abuse power.
Yeah.
And they do so because they, just like KYD is saying, they come in contact with a multitude of people who either are not in position to defend themselves or really don't have that power to to protect or to stand up for themselves. That ability to articulate when something is wrong. Like never, not everybody is situated like that. Most people are. I'm just gonna stick my head in the sand because my situation is already bad. And that's what we're saying is when individuals like us come across these systems and there's flaws in the system, like sometimes it is we are the only types of people who can say something to correct it. It's almost like they've been waiting for us to come across the anomaly or the error, because who else is going to correct it? Not the people who are involved in it every day. Like they're comfortable with it. They're still getting a check. It's still working. Fuck it. But that's what I said. We can't allow people who have real power over other individuals' livelihood to operate under nuance. Like you need to operate with a sense of urgency,
Yeah.
period, at all times. Otherwise, go get another fucking job.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is a very topical discussion because what I find in my observations is that this behavior is more widespread than we think. It's more commonplace than we think, and it's getting worse. And the reason why it's getting worse is because people are fed up really with their situations and working for other people, and they don't want to be there anyway. So fuck your customer service. Like I'm just here to take advantage of the situation. So you got a bunch of people who are opportunistic in nature. Like one, the worker taking advantage of the company, and then two, the company taking advantage of the worker, you get broken systems that's in place that don't really suit nobody. Because at the end of the day, the worker ain't gonna have no job soon, and they're gonna probably run the company into the ground anyway. This is why we need to really invest in ourselves and start your own businesses. You invest in your own time and your own money and your own positive outcomes. Because if you are a slave to another man's system, you know that's all you'll ever be. Period. And you're not. Your soul is never gonna be happy with that. Never. Like unless you just truly, truly love what you do, and what you do provides a sense of value to people that exceeds your need to control it, you're going to be miserable doing it for somebody else.
I agree. That's what every stereotypical DMV worker, every stereotypical person in the food stamp office, because when you are dealing with the public in such a way, providing the service to that level, I provide the service to one person at a time. Bam, nail it. Bam, nail it. Bam, nail it. These people talking about 150 people in your face with a problem and an attitude and problems and coming through problems and the worst kind of problems in the shelter system and the problems, and you got to sit here and then you. I don't want to be the wise guy. I'm not saying that I'm not. Maybe I am deemed I should have, but I don't have a passion for dealing with the homeless. I don't. So I don't feel like it's my place to take that place. So I have to understand that maybe the system itself runs that way, because not just because the people are impoverished and can't take care of themselves, but yeah, that person got to have an attitude because you come here every day with the problems. So yeah, I got a problem too. So and nobody ever asked me what my problem is or what my day is going through. So yeah, that breeds that kind of thing. You're absolutely right. But I don't know how to solve it other than hiring people who actually give a crap about homeless people. So
They
if
don't
they
have to
if
care. They just have to know that they're going to be held to the higher standard. And if they don't follow the standard, that there will be consequences and repercussions for their actions or lack thereof.
but
This
that
is why I said to you, I asked about, did you have to hold your tongue at certain times because you knew a bad rating would come from it if you didn't? It didn't mean that you cared about that person. You cared about your job. And that's what I'm saying needs to be implemented for the people that control humans' lives. That if there's a accountability system, we don't need a rating system. If the people just know that I can go make this report and this report's going to cause the investigation, and if you really are a scumbag, you'll be out of here, people will use it. But people don't know their rights. There's a difference between the people that know and the people that don't. And no person that doesn't have information will just magically have it. You don't know what you don't know. It is a fact. No human being knows what they don't know. It's not in their mental capacity or in their framework, software or hardware, anywhere. So again, like Rumblin said, until people make this information public, and going back to what I said earlier, you might not have been here, I didn't realize how bad the problem was until it became my personal problem. The same way most people don't know what a problem is until it becomes a problem. You know, you don't care about homeless people because you're not homeless. If you homeless for 6 months, I guarantee you're going to have a whole new respect for the homeless community because you are part of that community now. The same way most people don't care about anything outside of their personal community and or purview.
so
That's just the human experience in a nutshell. People are very restricted to their version of reality. They're in their echo chamber and they're happy to be in it. I'm not telling you that 1,000,001 people need to pick up the mantle and care for the homeless. It only takes one person to start the fire. That's why I said, thank the gods they chose me.
Usually, the reason why these systems can get away with being mediocre is because the people who they're abusing, they look at them as powerless. They don't look at them to have the ability to affect change.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's like, that's a dangerous assumption. You don't know who you're dealing with.
Sometimes I think that the Uber runs way better than the DMV. It runs smoother. There's different levels of expectations. Yes, I knew that if I acted a certain way, my rating would be damaged. However, I also knew that if I stuck to the game plan, then I could make it through this trip. There's been times, there was one time I said to myself, the guy was having a hard time getting into my car. And I said to myself, there was a lower rated version of myself that said, it's way easier to get out. I could have just kicked him out into the trip and don't even worry about it. But I said, no, I am a 5.0 driver and I'm going to get through this and I'm going to get to the end. But I have to trust the system. The system itself is problematic. These players in the game of the system is problematic. That's where the problem comes in. And the system hires people based on your qualifications and your willingness to be here. And that's it. Willingness to be here has nothing to do with concern about the topic. Whatever it may be, whatever the service that you're providing, you don't have.
That means you've never done an interview for social work or psychology, because that is tantamount in their interviews. They are asked those questions and people lie, which is why we need checks and balances. Again, you might not be asked in an interview for Walmart. Do you care about the well-being of the patrons of Walmart? You might not be asked that. If you're dealing with 15-year-old drug addicts that are homeless, people are going to ask you, how do you feel about children in your interview process? This is actually a part of it. That just so we're on the same page, that's part of their interview process. So just because someone has the ability to lie out their fucking ass doesn't mean that once they start abusing their position, they shouldn't be held accountable. That's what this whole conversation is about. They have to be held accountable. They are abusing people in real time, sexually, physically, mentally, spiritually. I don't think anyone that has a human bone in them should be trying to make a case for not holding these sons of bitches accountable. We're not talking about star rating systems for Uber. We're not talking about the Chinese social credit score. We're not talking about dancing with the stars. We're talking about human beings down on their luck. Some of them disabled mentally and physically. Some of them don't have the ability to fucking communicate past 3 fucking words. And they're going for help in situations and systems that have millions of dollars to help them specifically. The money's only there for them. And human beings are being put in position to control where the money goes and where they go. That's who we're talking about. There's a specificity to this entire conversation. And deviation away from it belittles the severity of the actual issue at hand, which is the abuse of human living beings. They're being abused every fucking day. And all of them, I'm not the exception, because there are others that get jobs immediately. I've met them in the shelters. There are others that are not doing drugs. I've met them I'm in a shelter. So I'm telling you from not only firsthand experience, but doing the research. You could go check the Williams Institute. You could go check Harvard's Institute of Research. There's actual evidentiary causes for what is happening. And if I don't do my due diligence, then I'm not going to ever sleep well again at night. So I'm not here to speak for nobody else. I don't care what no other soul on the planet do. God gave me fire, and I will make it burn for all those abusing their position of power when it comes to the most vulnerable of our people. You fuck with the elderly, then you deserve to fucking die. Oops, I'll say it again. You fuck with children, you deserve to fucking die. Oops, I did it again. I don't have that forgiving bone, and I'm not here to forgive. So I don't care about subjective opinions. This is a factually based conversation, and the fact is, I'm not going to be comfortable watching these people get abused, because I didn't even know it was fucking happening until it happened to me. That's the reality check. I didn't know how bad it was until I sat in fucking higher ground in Minnesota and it looked like New Jack fucking City. So yes, if I don't speak on it, who am I waiting for to come save me and save them? Who? You already said you don't believe that it should be fucking done. So who's going to come save us? Who? Who's going to come help us? Point them out. I'm waiting. Because 70 people just got locked up last month in New York for the exact shit I'm talking about. They got criminal charges. They're extortionists. They're bribing. In California, I just told you, the caseworker was forcing teenagers to suck him off for their money. What are we talking about? They deserve to burn in fucking hell. And before hell, they deserve to suffer on fucking earth because these people are demonic. I don't give a fuck about their life and what they going through and their attitude. That don't give nobody the right to abuse people. This is abuse to the highest level.
I never was talking
if these
about
people
those.
got that many issues, they need to be put in the institutions that can care for them. Because obviously they more fucked up than the people they're supposed to be caring for.
I'm not, I wasn't fighting against all that. I love that. That's dope. But the example that you were using for yourself, I just felt like, he sound like, I see those guys. I saw those guys that just, they don't care that much. They misspeak because they don't think they got to talk straight to you. So the first time they said it don't match up with the second time they said it, because the first time I said it, I was talking to you like you was a regular dude, like I deal with every day. So yeah, I ain't really got no relationship with them. All right, well, when I said that, what I said was, what I was meaning was, and now you like, oh, you being mad at girls. I saw that before. And I may not have been the person he was talking to, but I saw the shit happen right next to me all the time, where this guy is being away, and because of the people that he's dealing with, I'm not saying that it's okay. I'm just saying I understand why sometimes that happens. The abuse stuff, let's be honest, let's be clear. I do not condone that. Shit needs to be squashed out for anybody abusing. And we're talking about abuse, we're talking about abuse. I didn't want to make it minimalize it to that, but I didn't mean to denigrate anything. Those are real issues. I just, in that moment when you were talking about, that's what made me jump on, is because I felt like the example that was given at the moment, the reason why I came on at that moment, I felt like that example is just like somebody being bad at their job. And that's why I brought it to where I brought it to. But I listen, I fight power for all abusers. That's all. I love that. I don't know. I've seen people have to deal with us in a certain way. And sometimes I understand why. Sometimes I understand why they gotta have an attitude. That's it.
Well, I can say that whole perception of needing an attitude and having an attitude stems from accepting mediocrity. And when you're being an advocate of saying that it's okay for people just to be mediocre at their jobs, like you're perpetuating that behavior. And really, that's not just a issue that's within our culture. That's really an American issue. That's why we're last in every statistic across the globe, because we have a very comfortable and mediocre mindset when it comes to everything. Like we have a good enough type of mindset when it comes to everything. Like, did you die? No. Okay, well, keep it moving. But at the end of the day, it's about it should be about having the best quality experience as possible. And that's not only for the person receiving it, that should be for the person giving it.
Yeah, I told. Yeah, that's exactly what. Yeah, I agree. I agree. I agree. I agree. I ain't talking about that. Those things. We all got it. I think there's no exceptional people when it comes to why we choose jobs, why we get in the rut, why we love complaining, why we hear perfect advice and don't take it. Like, I, why we can sit here and distribute advice all day and be fucked up ourselves. Like, I think that's just a human behavior. And I don't know how you solve it unless that. Like, I really had hopes for that switch. I really had hope that people would go. You was talking oh, now you're doing this. I've been working on that. I'm working from home and doing this and doing that. And I thought that when we came back out into the world, it'd be this big like readjustment. But even I learned then that human behavior says you will fall right back into the same line. That shit is crazy to me. Now, we fall victims to the same shit over and over again. Not a rather, I also just hold myself accountable. That's how I got through that moment. And I didn't feel like I was leaving a bunch of people behind that was getting abused. And I felt like I got to get away from these niggas. Niggas stab my tires. I'm out of here. dorm of 16 men. I'm the only one who make up their bed every day, who leave out on time, come back and do what he's supposed to be doing. And then I come home tired as a mug, and the dude next to me is banging on my joint because I'm snoring. And what I'm supposed to do, I'm supposed to wake up and have an attitude. Yo, disrespect me again. I'm supposed to get through it. I got to get through it. I got to get through it. I got to get away from these niggas. I'm in this fucked up ass position. I got to get away from these niggas. So yeah, I saw them niggas all around me doing fucked up shit. And I just said, you know what? I got to get better. I got to do better. I can't be around these niggas. And I ran for the hills. That's just a fact. That's how I got through that shit. All right. So if you feel that burning passion, I appreciate it for those others. But I know the niggas I was in the dorm with. That shit was not cool. Nigga, one time I came in and I turned on the light. This is at Atlantic. At Atlantic. I remember I came in one night, like 2 a.m. from work. I turned on the light, did the combination lock, went back and cut it off. The next day, the nigga came to me with a lighter and was like, yo, this for you. I said, what's this? Why you give me a lighter? He was like, oh, it got a light on it. Last night when you came in, everybody was talking about you and how they was tight that you turned the light on. So here go a lighter with a light on it. Oh, okay. He said, because this ain't no working shelter. I said, nigga, this ain't no working shelter. You don't respect the nigga coming from work. I get it. All right, cool. I'm out of here. But those people had to sit next to those fucking counselors and they told them some bullshit too. I don't know. That's what I'm saying. That's what I meant. That's what I meant. My experience, yeah, I am talking directly from it. I'm not talking about people who get abused, but I saw the niggas do stupid shit like that all the time. I just don't think that nigga should be losing his job because whatever. I don't know. Maybe it was way deeper than that and actual rules were broken and shit like that, but having a conversation that didn't go your way, it's always gonna happen in those environments.
But I think
That's what that shit is.
that's you not having obviously the details, or you missed what the conversation, the context was. At no point did I say I had a conversation that didn't go my way. I'm mad. He should be fired. What I said is that I know policy and procedure. What I said is that this man's abusing his position of power. And if he's doing it with me, someone that has the wherewithal, is not a drug addict, is not mentally disabled, why would I ever believe he's not doing the same or worse to the people that can't articulate? What I said was that I have a 40-minute long recording to substantiate any and all claims that I make because he buried himself verbally. What I said is that I am not going to be a victim based on my situation, and that a man in a position of power attempted to use fear tactics and coercion to get me to do what he wanted. That is abuse. I was very clear on that. So everything you're saying is not even in response to anything I said.
Oh.
All of your points are very clear and true, and your reality is yours. I'm glad you shared it with us. But you didn't even respond to none of the shit I said at all. I'm trying to figure out, wow, what are you trying to defend? Like, we wasn't even having no argument. You was just telling us your experience. I appreciate that. I get it. You can't be wrong. It's a subjective experience. I'm telling you objectively, he did wrong.
Yeah, no, like for me, it was like homie is speaking from the perspective of dude deserves to be jaded because he's dealing with degenerate type people. And like no, like no, no, that's not okay. That's not okay.
Yeah, you're right.
No, that's still not acceptable.
Oh, oh shit, I'm
If
gonna
you need a
fucking choke.
vacation, that's what that
Oh,
means.
black baby Jesus. Oh shit. Nah, but these conversations is definitely necessary, and I appreciate it because
Yeah,
it's going to help to bring clarity for those that don't understand, or if there's miscommunication, people might feel like, oh, that's just what he's doing. So the fact that you did address that part, it helps me to continue to create the clarity that's needed for any observer. Because again,
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't think nobody got to agree with me. Everybody's allowed to have opinions. Everybody's allowed to have a bad and an off day. I'd never contest that. We are humans going through the human experience. But I will firmly always stand on the square that no person in a position of power has the right to be abusive just because they have the position.
You're right. You're right.
That's
I
all.
agree. I agree. Now that I've been put in my place, I'm a hop for a fly. I love y'all niggas.
Yeah, I appreciate you, G.O.D. I appreciate you. That was good. That was entertaining.
So I was like, man, like this dude's really being an advocate for the jaded. Like, I was legit like asking him, man, what do you do for a living? Like, you a correction officer or
He said,
like,
"Are
what's
you
going
a
on?
corrections officer?"